And welcome everyone to Legal Matters, an informational and news call-in show devoted to legal topics of interest to you, the State Line viewer. I'm your host, Alan Jones, and with me is attorney Michael Crosby with the Crosby Law Firm. We have attorneys standing by right now to take your call at the number on your screen. It's 815-397-2006. They'll provide you with free information on your issue. The call is confidential, so pick up the phone now and call the Crosby Law Firm throughout the next hour. Again, the phone number, 815-397-2006. Our opening statement for this episode of Legal Matters concerns what a person faces when a loved one has passed on and how their final affairs need to be completed through the administration of a trust. And in the second segment, we'll continue our popular You Want to Know question and answer session devoted to questions posed by you, the viewer, via telephone and social media. Again, the number, 815-397-2006. Lawyers are standing by now to take your confidential telephone call. But before we get started, please note that the Crosby Law Firm represents thousands of individuals just like you. Just as our local hospitals handle a multitude of healthcare issues, the Crosby Law Firm can help you with a multitude of legal care matters as well. So pick up the phone, 815-397-2006. The Crosby Law Firm has a Center for Divorce and Family Law and Injury Department, which includes but is not limited to auto and motorcycle accidents, as well as a slip and fall, medical malpractice, workers' compensation, and Social Security disability matters. There's also a Bankruptcy Institute, an Office for DUI, Traffic and Criminal Defense, an Advanced Care Plan and Probate Center, and a division for real estate, business matters, and much more. So again, feel free to call and discuss any of these practice areas with the attorneys that are standing by, 815-397-2006. Lawyers are standing by right now to take your call, which again is free and of course confidential. So Michael, welcome to the program. Always a pleasure to see you.
Thanks, Alan. Glad to be here.
And I know we have great information that we want to talk about, administration of a trust. But first, there's an event coming up that I know you want to talk about that's very near and dear to your heart, 5K run for Youth for Christ.
Sure. I'd like the viewers to know all about it. A number of years ago, when we began Legal Matters, our law firm launched what I call the Crosby Law Firm Initiative, our way of giving back. This show is part of that. We encourage calls on legal issues. We provide free consultation. It's our way of reaching out to the community. In-person consultations from the show are free as well. One of the other things that we began a year ago, and my son Tyler, who's a lawyer in our office, actually spearheads this, along with Mark Brennison's daughter, Chloe. We've pulled out, targeted, if you will, State Line Youth for Christ. And our office is a key sponsor, a key host of an event that's coming up on Saturday, October 14th at Midway Village. It's a 5K run. Last year through the event, with the help of many members of the community, we raised nearly $10,000, and we hope to double that this year. So I wanted to take a few moments during the show to promote that event and to encourage anyone that's interested in giving back to our community through Youth for Christ, which is a wonderful organization that helps disadvantaged children. I'd encourage them to give our office a call or go to our website. There's a whole bunch of information on the event that's coming up. There'll be all kinds of folks involved. Senator Dave Severson will be the master of ceremonies for the event. The 5K again is at Midway Village off of Guilford Road. Afterwards, there is a picnic provided by our office, which is nearby. There'll be bands, gifts, all kinds of good stuff. So encourage all the viewers to bring their children to the event, get on the website, take a look at where it is. We're charged up about it, and I'm glad I was able to chat about it for the show.
Sure, and it's a great event, and it raises a good amount of money for a great cause.
Absolutely,
so
yes.
We'll be interested in hearing more about that and the success of it later on.
We're going to run all kinds of public service announcements throughout the month of September and even into October. Again, it's Saturday, October 14th.
Okay, marvelous. Let's get down to business. We know the Crosby Law Firm represents a lot of different areas. People have set up trusts to make things quicker at the time of their passing. Let's talk about that a little bit, the administration of a trust. Why is that so important? How does that make things quicker?
Sure, good question. Our viewers may recall, those that watched the show last month, we devoted a segment to probating someone's will. We have pre-death planning, that's wills, powers of attorney, etc. When somebody passes, will probate their will. Many of our clients will inquire as to whether there's ways to avoid probate, which typically takes about 6 months. One of the best instruments, one of the best procedures for avoiding probate is the preparation of a trust. One's assets are deposited into the trust. Think of a cookie jar. That's the trust itself that we build. And then we take a person's assets, transfer them into the trust, and when they die, the bottom of the trust opens up, if you will. Those assets are distributed to their children, to their heirs, without going through the probate process, which takes up to 6 months, sometimes longer. And through a probate process, if you die and you have debts, your creditors can attack your estate and file a claim in probate court. That's avoided with a trust. So a trust is private, a trust avoids or minimizes creditor claims, and a trust is more instantaneous in terms of when you pass, delivering or transferring your assets to your heirs.
So 6 months for a probate, but the administration of a trust at the time of an individual's passing is almost instantaneous?
Trust can take some time, but it's not a public endeavor. There's not a court involved. There's not a judge involved. And yes, a lot of times the trust opens up upon your death. The assets are dispersed to your children. Don't have to wait 6 months. No court supervision concerning the administration of the trust.
Sure. Okay, how do you set one of these up? Obviously, it takes an attorney.
Our office, for a number of years, we do a lot of this work in our office, advanced care planning work. And if a client needs a trust, we'll build the trust. Think of someone that builds that cookie jar. The trust, the evidence of a trust is about a 15 to 20 page document. But in effect, we're building the cookie jar. And then we take the individual's assets and deposit them into the cookie jar, into the trust. And then the trust is dispersed upon their death. So our office is engaged frequently, along with the powers of attorney, a basic will, to construct, build the trust, if you will, to prepare the documents.
So you're talking about the estate, you're talking about a house, you're talking about financial instruments, you're talking about everything that the individual has that is available to be distributed after the individual's death.
Absolutely. Right? We'll transfer the house or multiple houses or properties into the trust, checking accounts, savings accounts, retirement accounts, life insurance policies, take a look at all of cars, so forth and so on. All those things are retitled. What's key about the trust is you continue, you're the settlor, you're the one that settles the trust, that deposits the things into it with the help of our lawyer. You own the trust. You can revoke the trust, you can change it, you still control it. These are your assets. You're putting them into the trust to help your loved ones upon your death, making for an expeditious transfer of your trust assets to the loved ones.
Okay, a lot of good information. We need to take a break real quick. As a reminder, that number to call is 815-397-2006. We'll be back with more from Michael Crosby and the Crosby Law Firm in a moment. And welcome back, everyone. We're here with Michael Crosby of the Crosby Law Firm, and we've been talking about the administration of a trust. And I would assume, most people assume, not everyone is suited for a trust instrument. So who is best suited and who might not take advantage of something like this?
Very good question. There's kind of a myth out there that, well, if I'm not rich, if I'm not a fat cat, I don't need a trust. Nothing can be further from the truth. Plenty of middle-class folks need a trust. When someone comes in to visit with us, particularly tied to the show, to the Legal Matters show, we provide them a free consultation, so I'd encourage them to give us a call, and we'll analyze whether we think a trust is best suited for their situation. Remember, one of the biggest benefits of a trust, upon your death, the assets in that trust get dispersed to your children, to your loved ones, to your surviving spouse, without going through the complexity, the time, and the expense of a probate process. So a trust is a tremendous instrument that should be utilized by middle-class folks as well as wealthier folks. And when you come in, we'll go over the benefits of the trust, the pros and cons, so that you're making informed decisions as to what you want to do.
It just requires some analysis.
Exactly.
Like anything else.
Exactly.
All right.
Right.
We're going to get to our You Want to Know, rapid fire You Want to Know question and answer segment. Do want to know that in an effort to protect viewer confidentiality, understand we only use first names, we may alter the location and the nature of the question somewhat. Also like to remind you, lawyers are standing by to take your call no matter the topic. So pick up the phone, 815-397-2006. So Michael, our first question comes from Nicole in Winnebago. She says, my daughter was in an auto accident. She went to the ER from scene of the accident, but she's back to work with the doctor having only limited duty work. She received a letter from the other driver's insurance company. Their offer covers the damage to her car and her ER bill. Now, what should she do?
As soon as she's been in the accident and she's been taken to the emergency room and stabilized and put in good shape and released, the first thing she should do is call a lawyer. These insurance companies will immediately contact her, try to discourage them from engaging a lawyer. They're all about, if you will, ambulance chasing, and that's the last thing you want. So the first thing she should do is contact a lawyer that's well versed in this topic, that does a lot of this work. Our law firm for a number of years devotes a significant amount of our practice to personal injury, to auto accidents. You do not want to take a look at a settlement that would involve reimbursement for your medical bills alone. There's a significant component called pain and suffering. And when you go through an auto accident, you've missed some work, disrupts your family unit, there's value to that. So I'd encourage Nicole to give us a call. Be happy to take a look at your case and sort through the best way to proceed.
Okay. Next question comes from Michael from Loves Park. He says, I lost my job earlier this year. My car was repossessed when I couldn't keep up with the payments. Can the lender collect the whole amount of the money under the loan since the lender sold the car before the end of the length of the contract?
Very good question. The lender is duty bound, obligated to, quote, mitigate their damages, to drive down their loss. So when the lender repossesses the car and sells it, let's take an example. Let's say at the time of the repossession, what was owed on the car was $5,000. The lender repossesses it and sells it for $4,000. The lender may look to the first person for the $1,000 loss. They cannot look to the first person for the entire $5,000. They must drive down their loss by reselling it. So they can't chase the first guy for the full amount. They can only chase the first guy for the balance owing. And in many cases, they won't do that. I would encourage that caller to give us a call. We'll analyze whether they're a candidate for a bankruptcy or whether there's another way to avoid the lender chasing them for what we call the deficit, the difference between what they owed and what the lender sold on the second time around after the repossession.
Okay. A lot of good information there, Michael. Thank you very much for your time.
You bet. Appreciate it.
And also be sure and contact the Crosby Law Firm. And don't forget, lawyers are standing by for another half hour after the show airs. Number is 815-397-2006. That's all the time we have for Crosby Law Firm. Legal Matters continues with Mark Brunison and the American Law Firm after a break. And welcome back to Legal Matters, everyone. I'm your host, Alan Jones, and with me now is Mark Brunison, the managing attorney with the American Law Firm. This is a half-hour informational news call-in show devoted to a variety of legal topics. We have attorneys standing by right now to take your call at the number on your screen. They'll be able to provide you with free information regarding your legal issue. So call now and throughout the next hour. In our opening statement for this episode of Legal Matters, we're continuing to talk with Mark about personal injury and information you need to know to make sure you're covered. The number, 815-394-1776. And lawyers are standing by right now to take your confidential call. 815-394-1776. Mark, hello. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Alan.
Always a pleasure to see you.
Yes,
Some great information. And I noticed you've got another book, a long list of books that you've written concerning personal injury. And this one is Personal Injury 101, the Non-Attorney Guide to Injury Cases in Illinois. And an interesting subtitle, The Insurance Companies Are the Real Ambulance Chasers. Now that sounds kind of interesting because most people associate the attorney as being the ambulance chaser. So what's that all about? What's that all about?
When you're in an accident that day or the next day, you'll get a call from the insurance company if their insured reported the accident, because they want to keep you from getting to an attorney, because their own studies show when an attorney's involved, the compensation is much greater, and they don't want that. So they will do anything to keep you from going and seeing an attorney, and that's intervening very fast. In fact, in one of my books that I've written, Personal Injury 201, Choosing the Right Attorney to Handle Your Case, I'm going to read an excerpt from an article, and I'm not going to use the insurance company's name, the real insurance company's name. I'm going to use Insurance Company X. But I'm going to read this, and this is true. This actually happened. And this will tell you how they're the real ambulance chasers. Insurance Company X hired private detectives to join a church in order to discredit a couple suing the insurer. The couple had just lost a child in an auto accident. So
Yeah.
the detectives worked their way in and taped support group sessions that the couple were attending, grief sessions. The Insurance Company X's chief executive officer later apologized for the use of private detectives in this manner, stating, this is a quote from him, "What the investigators and Insurance Company X people did was wrong, period." The CEO, head of the third largest U.S. auto insurer, said in a statement, "I personally want to apologize to anyone who is affected by this." Pretty despicable conduct, isn't it?
Yeah, especially to go into the grief support section and tape personal private sessions.
Just for
And
the
just for the
purpose
idea.
Yes, just for the purpose of getting dirt to devalue the amount of the settlement.
And that's just on guessing,
That's
on
just
estimates. Maybe they'll get something, maybe they won't.
that's just on one we know about.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing.
So now you know why they're the real ambulance chasers.
It appears that way.
Yes.
All right. So we do have some questions in this book. These 11 questions to ask the insurance company. So this is information that everybody should know and be alerted to.
And this is for, if you're currently not represented by an attorney, ask these questions to the adjuster and see if you get the answers.
So what you get. Okay. Will you put in writing that the accident was your insured's fault?
Sure, ask them. Will you commit? They'll tell you verbally, but will you commit in writing that it was your insured's fault? They'll never do it because they will not commit in writing to anything, because then later they can't back out of it and lie about it.
And I'm assuming that they would do that then.
They have, and I've been in cases where they've done just that.
They back right out of it.
Yes.
Will you tell me how much insurance the person who hit me has?
Oh, and that's a great question, because let's say it's a wrongful death case. They killed somebody, like that couple we just talked about, their child. Some people will go out and get umbrella policies for $1 million, $5 million. You know, they have the underlying limits of $100,000, $300,000. They have $5 million of coverage. The insurance company never wants you to find that out. They hope, well, all we have is $100,000 of coverage. You have a $5 million case, and let's say it's a family where it was the father killed, lost wages, maybe was making $80,000 to $100,000 a year, lost wages. $100,000 is only going to take care of maybe 6 months of what they lost, and here you got $5 million sitting back there that they don't want you to know about. So you have to know what do you got and how to get that information.
And that's something that attorney would investigate.
Absolutely.
Really investigate.
We know
look
how to
into that.
find it out, how to use state statutes to compel them. Unless you quote the right statutes, the right language, they won't do it. They won't lift a finger.
Not volunteering any information.
No.
If I give you a recorded statement, will you give me a copy of the statement that you already took from the person who caused the accident?
Absolutely. When an insured calls their company and says, I was in an accident, it was my fault, they'll take a recorded statement from the insured right away. And then the next thing, they're going to try to intervene really fast with the person that was hurt to keep them from calling an attorney and get a recorded statement from them. So what I would tell anybody that's doing it by themselves, when they call up and ask to take your recorded statement, say, will you give me a copy of the one you've already taken from your insured? They'll never do it because they probably admitted liability. If they admitted liability, then they can't retract and lie about it later. And I've seen that happen too.
So they don't have to turn over this evidence or this statement.
No.
So then, if asking for it, I would assume that if you went to an attorney, then it would be a little bit stronger request than if it came from the person.
Stronger request, or what we would say, you're not getting my client's recorded statement because I know you're not going to give me your insured's recorded statement.
Okay.
So fair is fair in love and war.
So it's kind of a standoff at that
Yes.
point then. Okay. Will you tell me how much money you have set aside in reserve to pay my claim? Now, what's reserve? What is that all about?
This is an excellent question. When an insured that is at fault tells their company, I was in an accident and I'm at fault. Most state laws require that the company goes to their general fund and they try to put an estimate on what the value of that claim could be and take it out of there and reserve it for that claim. That's how they manage cash flow. And if you ask them what's the reserve, they're never going to tell you, because that tips the hand of what they think your claim is really worth.
Sure.
Because remember, the adjusters get bonuses on how much they come in under the reserve. So why would they tell you? They want to try to get you to push it down, and unless you know what the true value of the case is, which an attorney is going to know, you're not going to even hit close to the top of that reserve.
Okay, a lot more questions to come, and we'll be back with Mark Brennis in a moment. Don't forget, lawyers are standing by for another half hour after the show. The number to call is 815-394-1776, and we'll be back with the American Law Firm after a break. And welcome back. I'm your host, Alan Jones. With me is attorney Mark Brenison with the American Law Firm. And you're watching Legal Matters, an informational and news call-in show devoted to a variety of legal topics. We have attorneys standing by now to take your call at the number on your screen. It's 815-394-1776. They'll provide you with free information on your issue. The call is confidential, so pick up the phone now and call the American Law Firm throughout the next hour. Again, the phone number, 815-394-1776. And we're talking with Mark about personal injury. He's written a book called Personal Injury 101, the non-attorney guide to injury cases in Illinois. A multitude of causes, I'm assuming. And we're going through some questions, 11 questions to ask the insurance company. This next question is interesting. Will you give me copies of the recorded statements that you've taken from any witnesses? I would assume that they would really want to do that.
No, they don't.
They don't.
Because let's say their insured has told them, I rolled through a red light, and they call you up and find out that the injured party, they find out that you don't, you say green light, and they say, well, our insured, and they don't, our insured said, well, he had a green light too. Mm-hmm. We just had a case like this right now in arbitration, where we got a pretty large arbitration award where that exact same situation happened. But during the settlement phase, they didn't tell us that there were witnesses that actually saw the light was red in the insured at-fault driver's lane of travel. Mm-hmm. When we got into discovery and we got into court because we couldn't settle it, then we can use court tools and machinery to make them give us that information. All of a sudden, out of the woodwork, here comes two witnesses that the police didn't talk to, they weren't in the police report, that saw what happened, and they knew that their guy was wrong. And they were trying to say, no, our guy wasn't, your guy was, because he had the red light, our guy had the green light. And they knew full well that wasn't the truth.
So that kind of squashes the case right there, obviously.
Yes.
So. Will you tell me whether you have already done video surveillance of me? That is surprising to me, that they would even do video surveillance right off the bat.
Now, this is going to be sort of weird to hear me say this, but video surveillance I don't mind because it brings the truth out. And there are some fraudulent claims. But the tactics of the insurance company are by far just outweigh and outnumber fraudulent claims by a plaintiff. What their tricks are, like the Insurance X that we talked about with the couple, what they do, it's just innumerable. But bottom line is, they will come and try to videotape you, and they'll try to videotape you at certain points in time. Well, sometimes life isn't perfect, and the defense and the insurance company sort of has this script. If you don't exactly play by it, if you're injured, then we're going to catch you doing something that isn't right. Well, life isn't perfect. When you're injured and you have a little one-year-old baby, you got to get up and take care of the baby, and it may mean that you miss going to a therapy appointment or the doctor. And the insurance defense attorney, if you go to court, they'll put, you missed that. Well, we do life, all of us do life, and it's not on the script of the insurance company, and it's not according to the script of the insurance defense attorney. And so they can really take some of these videos out of context, so you have to know how to deal with it. And I always inform my clients when they come in, they could be taping you. They could have already taped you. Just be
So
aware
just
of
be
that.
aware of
Be
that.
aware of it.
You can't change anything, but just be aware
That's
that it's,
correct.
that it's
And the
happening.
key is they can tape you out of context.
Yeah.
They can make it appear that there's no problem, and there is, because they taped you out of context to the situation.
That's something just to be aware of.
Yes.
Okay. Will you give me a copy of any index information that you already have from your computer system? So what is index information?
Well, when they put a claim together, it's like the witnesses that could fry their client because he actually ran a red light or a stop sign. They have a lot of information that they get because of the resources insurance companies have. They have investigators, they have field investigators, they have adjusters that sit at a desk all day and pound a computer. They take information the field investigators give them, that a private investigator give them, the videos we just talked about. What do you got? They won't tell you because they want to use it against you. And a lot of times it helps your case, but they won't give it to you. And that's the key. But as a plaintiff's attorney, you have to investigate your case too and make sure that you have a good case so you can put the best foot forward on behalf of your client. So it goes both ways. But they're not going to give you anything that could hurt their case. They want everything that could hurt your client's case.
Okay. Will you give me a copy of any financial information that you may have already obtained on me?
Oh,
That, which seems kind of strange that they were already working on the financials.
well, here's, you know, back in 2008 when the economy went south, people were really hurting for money and the insurance companies knew it. And so what they would do is they would try to find out whether the person that they're insured hit had just lost their job, et cetera, because they could really back you into a corner and lowball a settlement.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you're going...
You really need the money.
Yeah, if you're sitting there and you need money to make a payment so your house doesn't go into foreclosure, you might settle for 10 cents on the dollar what your claim's worth.
Yeah.
And they don't play fair. That's what you have to understand, just like sending investigators into a church grief group.
All right, so be aware. Talk to an attorney if you need anything. The book, Personal Injury 101, the non-attorney guide to injury cases in Illinois, from Mark Bernison, American Law Firm.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark. And once again, lawyers from the American Law Firm are standing by to take your call, no matter the topic. The advice is free, 815-394-1776. Lawyers will be taking calls for a half hour after the airing of the show. We'll be back with a closing statement when Legal Matters returns.
Legal Matters has been brought to you by the Crosby Law Firm and American Law Firm.
Let me close by encouraging you to pick up the phone and call the attorneys standing by. And because of the high volume of calls, attorneys from the American Law Firm and Crosby Law Firm will be taking calls for another half hour after the show ends. So if you get a busy signal or you go to voicemail, keep trying, or just leave a message and either law firm will return your call the following business day. Thanks for watching Legal Matters. We hope you found it informative.